This is a review of an old Nintendo magazine cover. WWF Attitude is prominently featured, touted as the best WrestleFest ever, with Mankind on the cover. The magazine boasts being official, first, biggest and best, promising news, previews, game guides and tips for the Nintendo 64, a South Park N64 guide, Game Boy Color reviews, Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire first look, and Resident Evil 2 screenshots are highlighted. The issue, priced at £2.95, also advertised free posters featuring Yoshi and the Mario Party characters. The cover, dated around May, reflects the common content of Nintendo magazines from that era, focusing on upcoming and popular games. This page is all about racing, specifically Racing Simulation Monaco Grand Prix. It's got a big screenshot of a racing game, looks like Formula 1 cars tearing around Monaco. The tagline up top, "I shot past the marina for the last time, launched into the final bend," sounds pretty dramatic for a racing game advert, doesn't it? Probably trying to convey the excitement of a close race right at the finish line. Down below there are little white outlines of racetracks with their names underneath. Places like Australia, Brazil, Argentina, and going all the way to Japan and Luxembourg. It's a good spread of F1 circuits, covering pretty much the whole season back then. Looks like they are trying to show off all the locations you can race in the game. It's probably trying to appeal to the racing fans out there who want a bit of realism in their N64 games, rather than just arcade races. This page is an advert for Racing Simulation Monaco Grand Prix. Right at the top it shouts, "To take the checkered flag, smashing the course record." Proper dramatic stuff for a racing game, isn't it? And then there's a quote from some bloke called Norman Smith, who's a bank clerk apparently. I suppose they are trying to show anyone can enjoy it, even your average bank worker. The main image is a set of racing goggles reflecting the game. In one lens you can see Monaco, which ties in with the title. And in the other there's a racing car and some glamorous looking woman, probably a pit girl or something. Bit of a weird combo to have in one goggle, but alright. Warrington Mustra. Down at the bottom it says Racing Simulation Monaco Grand Prix again, and get a grip on reality, which is a bit rich coming from a video game advert, but there you go. It's got the Ubisoft logo, so you know who's behind it. They are pushing both PlayStation and N64 versions here, with review scores from Total PlayStation Magazine giving it 88%, and Official Nintendo Magazine giving it 86%. So not too shabby, I suppose. PlayStation version was out in March '99 and the N64 one in April '99. They're really pushing the magazine review scores, must be trying to convince people it's a serious racer. This page is a bit of a random one, looks like an advert for something called Ant 2. It's all about this new weekly newspaper section in the Daily Telegraph, aimed at the under-16s apparently. Blimey, Telegraph trying to get down with the kids then. It's meant to cover all sorts. Fashion, news, sport, websites, interviews, music, competitions, reviews, and even columnists. Quite a mix, isn't it? The picture is of some young lad lounging about with a skateboard. Bit of a skater vibe, I suppose, to appeal to the youth. Skateboard itself has rewrite the rules on it. Deep, man, deep. Anyway, it's launching on Saturday, April 10th, and it's free in the Daily Telegraph every Saturday. So, if you were a young'un back then, you could get your dose of youth news with your folks' broadsheet. They even had a website, www.t2online.com. Proper cutting-edge stuff for back then. Websites on everything. So yeah, that's T2, trying to be all things to all teenagers, bless 'em. This Nintendo magazine advertisement boasts its status as the UK's biggest selling publication. It highlights 6 key promises: exclusive Nintendo 64 news, extensive screenshots, clear writing, reliable tips and cheats, trustworthy writers, and comprehensive coverage. The ad includes photos of the enthusiastic editorial team and a Get in Touch section with contact details for Nintendo-related issues and retail inquiries. The cover of issue 80 May 1999 is showcased, featuring WWF Attitude, Game Boy Color, Star Wars, and Resident Evil 2 for N64. The magazine's target audience is clearly defined by the inclusion of Nintendo 64, Game Boy, and Game Boy Color logos. The overall tone is promotional, aiming to convince readers of its quality and encourage continued readership. Issue 80 of Nintendo magazine focuses on WWF Attitude, with a promise of best fighters and tactics. The cover highlights a first look and all you need to know section inside. Game news features titles like Battle Tanks, Resident Evil 2, praised for its technical achievement on the N64, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, capitalizing on the hype, and Win Back. The magazine also teases new games for Game Boy Color and Win64, with a focus on Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. Overall, It's a typical magazine cover page designed to entice readers. This month's gaming coverage focuses on N64 and Game Boy Color. N64 reviews include Vigilante 8, NBA Pro 99, Rampage 2 Universal Tour, Mystical Ninja 2 starring Goemon, All-Star Baseball 2000, and NHL Pro 99. There's also a total test section, evaluating N64 hardware. A Blagfest offers prizes like Zelda action figures and N64 accessories. Game guides cover Turok 2 multiplayer, Rogue Squadron, and South Park. The Game Boy Color section features news, reviews, and a look at Zelda, Link's Awakening DX. Overall, it's a diverse selection of games and information. This page is all about WWF attitude on the N64. Big bruiser on the front, looks a bit like The Undertaker but with a mask, proper mean looking. It's flagged as a big game and they're saying WWF returns and toughest wrestlers, so they're clearly trying to big it up. It's a 3D beat 'em up, developed by Acclaim, which could be a bit hit or miss back then. They're saying it's out in June '99. The tagline is, the WWF returns to the ring, and this time, they've got real attitude. Bit of a play on words, you see, with the game title being Attitude. They're pushing the edgy side of WWF at the time, after the family-friendly stuff went out the window. So yeah, WWF attitude for the N64, Acclaim trying their hand at wrestling again. Let's see if it's any good when it comes out. This page carries on about WWF attitude, still calling it a big game. They are pushing this fight of your life thing, saying it's one of the best grapple games about. They even have a little jab at WCW, signing up some older wrestlers, making sure WWF is still top dog. They're going on about the usual wrestling game features, loads of body slams and flying kicks, and that there are over 25 wrestlers and a creator wrestler mode. Saying it'll be like the fighters huge is a bit much, but that's just marketing. The screenshots show Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they reckon wrestling fans will go wild for all the grunting, grappling, slamming. It's all pretty standard wrestling game hype, really. The next page continues the WWF attitude lovin', calling it the Big Bad Boys this time. It's basically a wrestler roster rundown. They've got photos and little profiles for a bunch of the lads you can play as. You've got Stone Cold, obviously. Shawn Michaels, who they mention, is a bit knackered with a bad back. Mankind, Owen Hart. D'Lo Brown, who's apparently the most intelligent wrestler. The Rock, who they're saying is fighting Steve Austin at WrestleMania XV. Bit of a spoiler there, lads. Then Big Boss Man, who's Vince McMahon's security. Triple H, The Undertaker, Kane and Val Venis. For each wrestler, they give you their height, weight, finishing move, and a fighting fact, mostly just wrestler trivia really. At the bottom there's a reminder that it's 4-player, so you can get your mates round for a rumble, free-for-all or tag teams, they say. Standard wrestling game stuff, really showing off the roster. This page carries on with the WWF Attitude Wrestler profiles, showcasing a different set of grapplers this time around. They've got Old Snow up first, who apparently carries a dummy head to the ring, and is considered a very scary man. Bit dramatic, lads. Then it's Goldust, who changed his name from Dustin Runnels to win his wife back. Well, each to their own, I suppose. Next is Jerry the King Lawler, apparently used to be a DG, and they reckon he's not really a king. Shamrock's there, and they're calling him the world's most dangerous man according to some American TV network. Always with the hyperbole, these wrestling types. Moving down, there's Thrasher, part of the Headbangers tag team, doing his solo thing here. The Godfather is next, escorted by loads of women and apparently the luckiest man in the WWF. Steve Blackman is billed as the lethal weapon because of his fighting skills, and Gangrel, who they say is often soaked in blood after a match, charming. Each wrestler gets the usual stats: height, weight, finishing move, and a fighting fact. Bits of trivia to round them out. At the bottom there's a picture of some in-game action with a caption saying it looks like curtains for Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that his opponent is going for a pin after a body slam. Just more of the roster showcase really, giving you a peek at who you can be in the game. WWF Attitude's guide details gameplay beyond simply showcasing wrestlers. It covers various match types under ring rules, including exhibition, training, pay-per-view, career and tournament modes. Customization options like match selection and arena editing are highlighted in It's Your Call. Walk This Way describes wrestler entrances with music and crowd reactions. Tough Talkers features commentary from Vince McMahon and Jim Ross. Finally, You're in Control explains the game's button-based controls, emphasizing strategic moves over button mashing. The guide aims to show depth beyond basic combat, even though the core gameplay likely still involves wrestling. This page is a bit of an odd one. It's a full-page advert for Sunny Delight, that orange squash drink we all necked back in the day. They've got people dressed in martial arts gear doing some kicks and poses, all very energetic. Right there in the corner you can see the bottles of Sunny D and the tagline "Reach for the Sun." Bit random, but I suppose it's meant to be about being active and healthy. Or something. This page is all about WWF Attitude on the N64. Good bit of wrestling fun this was. They're giving some tips to be a proper grappler, saying you need to use the whole ring, not just the middle. First bit is thick of the action, showing Steve Austin laying a smackdown on Al Snow, proper Stone Cold style. The caption says, Austin's got Al Snow in a perfect hold, and he's about to pull his arm out of the socket. Then it says Al Snow's getting a close look at the canvas, which is a nice way of saying he's about to get slammed. Next bit is climb the turnbuckle, telling you to climb the ropes and jump on your opponent, mentioning the flying kick and clothesline. Gotta love a good flying move from the top rope. Risky but worth it. Then it's weapons, because what's wrestling without a bit of weapon action? They're saying to drop to the floor to grab weapons and whack round the head so the blood starts to fly. Lovely. Bit cheeky, but that's wrestling for ya. Finally, use the ropes, advising you to bounce off the ropes for a flying attack. Always good for building up speed and power. Overall, it's a decent little guide to get you started in WWF Attitude, proper arcade wrestling fun on the N64 back in the day. This page continues with more tips for WWF Attitude, showing you how to properly batter your opponent. First up is the body slam. They're telling you to do it in the center of the ring so your opponent can't grab the ropes. Makes sense. Then there's the forearm smash. Gotta grab your rival from the tie-up and chuck them towards the turnbuckle before they get their guard up. Sneaky move, that one. Next is win with a pin. Stating the obvious really, you can only pin in the ring, you have to wait until they are low on health, drop them to the canvas and hold them down for 3 seconds, basic stuff. Then it's the head slam. They're saying it's guaranteed to draw blood and very painful. Bit strong for a Nintendo mag, isn't it? You grab them by the hair and smash their skull into the corner post. Ouch. Orrington also has many full. Finally, flying clothesline. Warning you not to spend too much time outside the ring or you'll get counted out. Instead, knock your foe out with a flying attack and get back in the ring. Solid advice for keeping the match going. It's all good basic wrestling game knowledge if you needed a helping hand with Attitude on the N64 back in the day. WWF Attitude features a combat system similar to Warzone, emphasizing grappling and tie-up attacks. Player color can impact gameplay, potentially giving an advantage to darker colors. The game offers 3 camera angles: normal, rotate, and fixed. The Create a Wrestler mode, called Ultimate Warrior, is praised for its customization options, allowing players to modify appearance, including skin color and clothing. The power bar system uses green, orange and red to indicate health, leading to a stunned state upon depletion. The preview concludes with a positive outlook, suggesting wrestling fans will enjoy the game and potentially consider it a top N64 wrestling title. A full review is promised in the coming months. This page then, it's a bit of a random one, an advert for Oxy, the spot cream stuff. Bit out of place in a Nintendo mag, but there you go. It's got a woman giving you the old wink, holding a vacuum cleaner and a magazine called Escort, which, well, Escort was a car back then, but also, yeah, you know, a bit cheeky for a kid's mag really. There's another magazine on the floor called Mayfair too. Same sort of thing. The whole thing is about being on the spot, like having a spot on your face, but also being in a bit of an embarrassing situation, and how Oxy will sort you out so you don't get spots. Right then, back to the games I suppose. The next page is the new game reviews section. Fair enough. They're laying out their scoring system, right from real rubbish at the bottom end to amazing game you must play at the top for 90,100 scores, which they're calling awesome awards only for games over 90%. Sounds like they don't hand those out lightly then. Right, onto the games themselves. First up is Vigilante 8, big splash page for that one. Motor Massacre is the headline, promising serious road rage on the N64. They reckon it'll hit the spot. It's priced at £39.99 and out now, so pretty recent release. They've got a, we said bit quoting, ultra-violent car battles. Version 8's gonna be a funky blast for older Nintendoids. Older Nintendoids, cheeky, and looks-wise, they're saying the motors are well solid, and levels smart with wicked explosions. Sounds like they're pretty impressed with it, visually at least. Then there's Rampage Universal Tour, reckon the mad monsters are back. Page 24 if you want the full review. Mystical Ninja 2 starring Goemon is there too. More top platform action, apparently. Page 26 for that. All-Star Baseball 2000, take the plate with this home run hitting gem. Page 30. And finally NHL Pro 99, More icebound sporting stuff, on page 32. So a decent mix of genres then. Driving, platforming, sports. Looks like Vigilante 8 is the star of the show though this month. This page continues with the Vigilante 8 lovin' from the review section. It's all about the game modes you can get stuck into. Choose your game, it says, as if we're spoilt for choice, which back then with a new game you kind of were. They've got 6 different modes highlighted. There's Quest, where you're destroying targets and enemy vehicles. Then Arcade, which sounds like your standard pick-a-pan-play mode, choosing levels and blasting away. Versus for head-to-head against your mate for bragging rights. Survival, to see how long you can last against waves of enemies, sounds proper frantic. And lastly Cooperative, teaming up with a mate to take down enemies, which is always a laugh. They've even got a little sounds box bragging about tons of voices and some slick 70s tunes that will apparently get your dad getting down. Bit cringe, but I suppose they're trying to appeal to everyone. Overall, it's pushing the variety of gameplay in Vigilante 8. Make sure you know you're getting your money's worth. And of course there's that big number 8 smack bang in the middle. Can't miss what game they're on about. This text reviews Vigilante 8, highlighting its features. Players choose from 8 70s themed cars, each with a driver, with the 67 Rattler and 75 Palomino being mentioned specifically. Gameplay involves locking onto enemies, using machine guns, and special weapons obtained through a pickup system. Single-player missions are present but potentially repetitive. Multiplayer offers deathmatches and team play, described as mindless explosive fun, with the potential for slowdown. Power-ups like repair spanners and weapon boosts are available. A variety of destructive special weapons are detailed, alongside the standard unlimited ammo machine gun. The review concludes with an 83% score, labeling the game a funky blaster. This advertisement promotes a cheat service for N64, PlayStation, and PC games, back when the internet wasn't readily available. Video games Cheats and Tips offered solutions for stuck players, including 99 lives and turbo modes. The ad features Cheatmaster, a cartoon character. The service lists cheats for numerous popular games, like GoldenEye, Ocarina of Time, Duke Nukem 64, and Mario Kart. Players could access the cheats via a premium rate phone number, costing 60 pence per minute. Additionally, the ad promotes a fax cheats and tips service, a 9-page document offering game information, reachable via a national rate call. The ad's tone is nostalgic, reflecting a time when phone lines and faxes were the primary source of game assistance. NBA Pro 99 for the N64, reviewed in May 1999, promised slam-dunk action and a blistering pace. The game allowed players to control NBA stars and compete for the championship in a standard season mode, complete with exhibition games and a 3-point shootout. Screenshots showed decent graphics, with a focus on exciting dunks. While the player animation wasn't top tier, the close-up views were praised. Overall, the review suggests NBA Pro 99 was a solid basketball title for the N64, offering a decent variety of game modes and a focus on exciting gameplay. NBA Pro 99 for the N64 receives an 82% rating from Nintendo Official Magazine. The review suggests it's a fun, if not classic, basketball sim. Positive aspects include the creator-player feature with extensive customization options and enjoyable multiplayer. The game offers ice-cool moves, like spins and ball shielding, and various game modes. However, the music and commentary are deemed merely okay. The reviewer highlights that the game offers plenty of gameplay, including playoff battles. Ultimately, the review recommends renting the game for a fun experience, especially if you enjoy customizing your player and playing with friends. This review of Rampage 2, Universal Tour on the N64 promises a destructive experience, boasting every city wrecked and the inclusion of all monsters. The game, priced at £44.99 in April 1999, features Rumble Pack support and multiplayer. However, the audio is criticized, with the review noting repetitive explosions and screams. The game features a monster roster: Ralph, fast but weak; George, strong but slow; and Lizzie, quick attack but weaker. The review highlights the need to choose a monster based on playstyle. Surprisingly, the review concludes by stating, the reviewers hated the original Rampage, but express hope for the sequel to be a significant improvement. This review of Rampage 2, Universal Tour slams the game, calling it city-smashing fun, with new monsters like Boris the Rhino and Ruby the Lobster joining Ralph, Lizzie and George in demolishing cities. The game features classic arcade power-ups like boxing gloves, and bonus rounds that are a bit mad. Players can smash famous landmarks and even go to Mars. The review highlights over 100 levels, but warns of boredom. Multiplayer is fun but not lasting. Character profiles for new monsters are included, offering varied playstyles. Ultimately, the review is brutal, giving the game a 50% score and calling it worse than its predecessor, a boring button-bashing game. They recommend avoiding a full purchase, suggesting it might be worth renting for some mindless destruction. This page is a review for Mystical Ninja, starring Goemon 2. Right then, so this is another Goemon game, eh? Remember the first one? Proper weird that was, and this review is saying, if you thought that was odd, you've seen nothing yet. Apparently Nintendo's finest Japanese warrior is back for another day, and they reckon we're gonna go gaga over it. Bit strong words there, but alright, let's see. The game info box tells us it was going for £44.99 back in May 1999. Blimey, games were pricey back then, weren't they? It also mentions its multiplayer, uses a memory pack and rumble pack, standard N64 stuff really for the time. Say yow. The main image is packed with all sorts of colourful, bonkers characters. You've got Goemon himself, the blue-haired fella, and his mates Ebisumaru, Sasuke and Yae, all in that classic quirky Japanese style. There's even a giant stone head thing, with one eye, a flying umbrella with a face, and all sorts of other oddballs. It definitely looks like they've kept the weirdness from the first game, if not ramped it up a bit. Maybe Gaga isn't too far off the mark after all. Mystical Ninja 2 is a 2D platformer, harking back to the series' roots. It features cooperative gameplay and introduces 4 playable characters: Goemon, Ebisumaru, Sasuke, and Yae, each with unique abilities. The story involves a ghost return machine, stolen by a villain, leading to time-traveling adventures. The game boasts impressive 2D graphics and memorable boss battles. Gameplay involves side-scrolling action with coin-based attacks, shops, and temporary power-ups. A day/night cycle affects enemy strength. Tougher enemies appear at night, with the option to rest at a hotel. Despite some repetitive aspects and Goemon's one-hit death, the game is described as a fun, nostalgic experience, with the reviewers so far enjoying the game. Mystical Ninja 2, Goemon 2 is a mixed bag. The reviewer finds the audio comical and the music varied. You explore a village, interacting with quirky locals who offer quests and rewards. Weapon upgrades are tied to collecting animals, and coins are projectiles. Boss battles are challenging, particularly early on, requiring skill and luck. The review criticizes some level lengths and finds the game over-screen bizarre, showcasing dancing muscle men. Despite these quirks, the game provides a fun adventure, though it's repetitive in places. The reviewer gives an 80% score, calling it a good game, but not as impressive as its N64 predecessor, ultimately concluding it's a good game that could have been great. This page, well, it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? Right in the middle of the mag, we've got a full-page advert for Kellogg's Pop-Tarts. Looks like they're trying to be cool, like they're releasing a music CD called The Heat Is On Tour. Bit cringe, really. They've got a picture of a Pop-Tart looking all chocolatey, and the CD case itself is blue, with water droplets, very 90s. The track titles they've listed are proper daft too. Stuff like Warm the Center of My Heart and Heat Me Eat Me, all playing on the fact you're supposed to heat up a Pop-Tart. Out now on Kellogg's, catch them while they're hot, it says at the bottom. Just a sugary snack company trying way too hard to be trendy, if you ask me. Probably a free CD, in cereal boxes or something. Anyway, not much to do with Nintendo or games, is it? Moving on. All-Star Baseball 2000 for the N64 is touted as an improvement over its predecessor, boasting enhanced graphics and realistic gameplay. The game features all major baseball players and offers improved throwing, catching, and hitting mechanics, including curveballs. Game modes include Quick Match, Season Mode, and Home Run Derby, catering to both casual and dedicated players. The review highlights different pitch types: fastball, slider, changeup, and curveball, each with unique movement characteristics. The game is described as highly realistic and lifelike, with a dedicated looks section praising its visuals. Released in spring 2000, the game cost £39.99. Overall, the review suggests it's a solid baseball title for N64 enthusiasts. All-Star Baseball 2000 for the N64 offers a detailed on-screen experience, breaking down the game display into various sections, including pitcher stamina, strike zone indicators, and pitch aids. The game's batting mechanics are noted for their complexity and enjoyment, using screenshots to illustrate the pitching and swinging process. Commentary is provided by John Sterling and Michael Kay, offering typical commentator banter. The game promises long-lasting gameplay, especially in 4-player mode, although it's acknowledged to be slow-paced. Nintendo Official Magazine rates the game highly, awarding it a 90% score, and calling it brilliant and amazingly realistic. It's recommended for those seeking home runs and competitive play. Released in May 1999 for £44.99, NHL Pro 99 on the N64 is a fast, solid hockey sim praised for its gameplay options. Featuring all 27 NHL teams and star players, it offers exhibition, season, and playoff modes, along with multiplayer for up to 4 players. The game includes American commentary and crowd noise. The review notes basic graphics and suggests simplifying rules for newcomers. Season mode allows for head coach duties, including player management. Though packed with features, the game receives a 77% score, with graphics being acceptable and gameplay considered good. However, the review suggests it doesn't surpass other N64 sports titles, recommending it primarily for dedicated hockey fans. This page is a bit of a cheeky one. It's a full-page advert for pot noodle chicken and mushroom flavor to be precise. We've got this fella, Keith, looking absolutely chuffed to bits, practically drooling over his pot noodle. Then there's Tamara, looking less than impressed in the background, maybe a bit embarrassed to be seen with him and his culinary masterpiece. The tagline is plastered across the top, something about Tamara wanting to hate herself for loving him, and all Keith wants is a spanking gorgeous pot noodle. Bit suggestive for a noodle advert, even back then, eh? Anyway, it's pure 90s cheese, makes you chuckle, and definitely makes you think of pot noodle, so I guess it did its job. This page is all about selling us the Game Boy Color and the new Zelda DX game, Link's Awakening. Right in the center we've got this purple Game Boy Color, sticking out like a sore thumb in a dark dungeon, with a sword jammed right into the top of it. Bit dramatic, isn't it? They're going for the whole Link's fate lies in your hands thing, which is fair enough, it's Zelda after all. It's shouting about color being added to Link's Awakening, the DX version as they call it. Remember, the original was all monochrome green on the old brick Game Boy. So yeah, color is a big deal. They're pushing the "Feel Everything Everywhere" slogan for the Game Boy Color. Bit over the top if you ask me. It's a handheld console. Not some sort of life-changing experience, but marketing, eh? Still, Link's Awakening was a proper classic back then. Good to see it getting a bit of a color boost. This page is pushing the Game Boy Color and Link's Awakening DX again. Can't blame them really, it's a solid combo. Right at the top it's saying your guide to gaming on the go, and every new game out in the UK. Bit of a promise there, saying they're the experts and testing all the games properly. Beneath that, bang in the middle, is the Game Boy Color itself, showing Zelda DX on the screen. They've listed a bunch of games they're reviewing too. Let's see, there's Zelda, obviously, then Wario Land 2, which was a good platformer if you were into that sort of thing. Mortal Kombat 4, they reckon it's paw-punching piffle, which isn't exactly a glowing review, is it? Game & Watch Gallery 2 getting a look in for classic gaming fun. Then a few more titles like Crazy Castle 3, Rampage, Bugs Bunny and Lola, and NFL Blitz. Bit of a mixed bag there, something for everyone I suppose. The bottom line for this page is definitely Zelda DX, and the Color Game Boy. They are really hammering home the magical color point. This page is all about the Game Boy Color again, still banging on about gaming on the go, alright. Big headline, gaming on the go spread across the middle, can't miss that. They're showing off a silver Game Boy Color, looks quite snazzy actually, with Zelda, Link's Awakening DX on the screen. They really are pushing that game hard in this issue, aren't they? It's like, they want to make sure you absolutely get the point that this thing is portable. They've got the Game Boy Color box, some Duracell batteries and even the instruction booklet scattered about as well for good measure. The text says, everything you need for the total portable gaming experience. Well yeah, pretty much is, isn't it? Slam a couple of Duracells into your Color Buddy and you're off. Color Buddy, bit cheesy that. Over on the right, they're calling it one of the coolest things on planet Nintendo. A bit much, but fair enough. It was pretty cool at the time. Read on for all the essential info on the ultimate in Go Anywhere gaming. They're really going for it with the Go Anywhere angle, aren't they? It's a decent advert for the Game Boy Color, I suppose, if you weren't already sold on the idea of portable color gaming. This text enthusiastically promotes the Game Boy Color, highlighting its features and popularity. It emphasizes the console's world's best-selling status and its advancements over the original Game Boy, focusing on the vibrant color screen. Key features, like the Game Link for multiplayer, backward compatibility with older Game Boy games, and improved sound are mentioned. The text also discusses the various case colors and long battery life. Finally, it touches on the Game Boy camera and printer, calling them cool, despite the low-quality photos, celebrating the nostalgic charm of these accessories. The overall goal is to showcase the Game Boy Color's strengths and appeal. The review highlights two essential Game Boy Color games. The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX offers a colorful revamp of the classic adventure, featuring puzzles, combat, and a quest to escape Koholint Island. While the reviewer notes the price of £24.99 is a bit steep, it's a well-regarded game, earning a 92% score. Wario Land 2 is the second featured game. Wario's castle has been stolen, and the player must retrieve it. Wario has a new ability to transform into various forms. This platformer, with its matching pairs mode, is deemed blooming cool, although a bit easy, and it received an 86% score. Both titles, priced at £24.99, are considered must-haves for Game Boy Color owners. This Game Boy Color game review highlights several titles. Mortal Kombat 4, £24.99, is deemed weak, 60%. Game & Watch Gallery 2, £24.99, featuring classic and modern versions of Game & Watch games, receives an 81% score. Crazy Castle 3, £19.99, a Bugs Bunny puzzle game, gets a 78%. Rampage, £24.99, is a terrible port, 50%. Bugs Bunny and Lola, £19.99, a platformer, is considered fun and receives an 80%. Lastly, NFL Blitz, £24.99, is criticized for lacking excitement and is given a 52% score. This page is an advert, plain and simple, for the official Nintendo magazine. It's pushing subscriptions, offering a save money deal. You buy a year's worth, and get 3 issues chucked in for free, so 12 mags for the price of 9. Saves you about £9, which back then was decent pocket money. Mario's plastered all over it, doing his usual cheerful peace sign pose, to draw you in. There's also a chance to win £150 of cool Nintendo goodies every month, from Game Master, which was another magazine back then, bit more general gaming than specifically Nintendo focused. They're showing off some N64 gear as prizes. You can see a steering wheel, pads, that sort of thing. Probably hoping to tempt some folks to subscribe and get their hands on some freebies. Then it's the usual subscription form, asking for your details, address, all that jazz. Prices are listed for UK, Europe and worldwide, and payment options are check or credit card access, Visa, MasterCard, the usual suspects. They're even giving you a hotline number to call and an offer code F1Y to mention, so they knew how to track these things even back then. And a source code if20, for their own record keeping, I suppose. Fairly standard subscription drive, but with a Mario face slapped on it to get the Nintendo crowd interested. Can't say I'm surprised, magazines were all doing this sort of thing back in the day to keep the readers coming back. This total test section, guided by Yoshi, provides a monthly review of Nintendo's 64 games and accessories. It covers control pads, memory packs and more, with page numbers for easy navigation. Features include a humorous, famous 5 segment, a discussion on Zelda's Twin Rover boss, and Nintendo numbers with potential tips and codes. Sales and rental charts are also included. Games are scored out of 100, with scores over 90 earning an Awesome award. Short reviews like Crazy Cool Car Crashing Madness for Vigilante 8 and Monaco GP on page 45 offer a quick look at featured titles. This section appears to be a comprehensive guide to the N64 landscape. This text reviews several Nintendo 64 games, starting with a positive assessment of the Twin Rover boss battle in The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Game reviews include All-Star Baseball 98, 90%, All-Star Tennis 99, 70%, All-Star Tennis 99, 70%, Basscore 91%, Banjo-Kazooie 96%, Banjo-Kazooie 96%, Body Harvest 88%, and Bomberman Hero 72%. The text also mentions essential N64 accessories, like the expansion pack, SCART cable, and controller extension cable. This page reviews various N64 Rumble packs, with a focus on price and performance. The Best of the Rest award goes to the rechargeable Jolt pack. The reviews also include a variety of games. Chameleon Twist and its sequel score poorly, along with Clay Fighter 63 and a third. FIFA 99 and Forsaken receive high scores, while FIFA 64 and Dual Heroes fare poorly. Other notable scores include Chopper Attack, Cruisin' World, Diddy Kong Racing, 92%, Duke Nukem 64, and F1 World Grand Prix. Overall, the reviews showcase a diverse selection of games with varying quality, a common theme of the N64 era. Wicked Wheels reviews various N64 steering wheels, Options include the budget-friendly Race 64 Compact, the V1 Racing Wheel, the G64 Steering Wheel, and the Thrustmaster Formula Race Pro, along with the Top Gear Wheel, ASC2 Wheel, Vortex Wheel, and the battery-powered Mad Catz N64 Wheel. Game reviews cover a range of N64 titles. Standouts include F-Zero X, 92%, praised for its intense speed, ISS 98-93%, hailed as the best footy game, and Holy Magic Century, 85%, a potential hidden gem RPG. Other games reviewed include Gasp, Gex 64, GT64 Championship, Hexen 64, ISS 64, Iggy's Wrecking Balls, Killer Instinct Gold, and Knife Edge. The page also includes contact phone numbers for various game companies. DOI. This Total Test Review Roundup covers several Nintendo 64 titles. Racing games like Mario Kart 64 90% and Monaco GP 86% receive praise, while Lamborghini 76% is considered unremarkable. Mission Impossible 81% offers a spy adventure, and Madden Football 64 86% delivers a robust American football experience. Beat-em-ups like Mace the Dark Age 79% and Mortal Kombat 4 90% also get a good reception. Lylat Wars 91% and Micro Machines 87% are also highlighted. However, MK Mythologies 36% and MK Trilogy 51% are heavily criticized. Other titles include Mario Party 85%, Mystical Ninja 88%, Mischief Makers 74%, Nagano Winter Olympics 75%, NASCAR 99 62%, and NBA Courtside 89%. The review concludes with a humorous segment on ugly Nintendo characters. This page reviews N64 memory packs and games. Memory pack reviews cover various brands, with Spectra Video being budget-friendly, Joytech and performance reliable, Datal offering 4 MB for serious savers, and LMP providing ample storage. The reviews assess value and quality. Game reviews include a diverse range. Standout titles like NFL Blitz and NFL Quarterback Club 99 earned 90%, praised for their gameplay. Quake and Rogue Squadron also received high scores. Other notable scores include NBA Pro 98 and NHL 99 80–85%. Mixed reviews were given to titles like NBA Hangtime, Off-Road Challenge, and Olympic Hockey. The reviews highlight the N64's growing game library. This page is an advert for the Rugrats movie game, and blimey, it's for the Game Boy Color. Remember those? It's plugging it as an adventure for anyone who's ever worn nappies, which is a charming way to put it, I suppose. It's coming out on the 5th of March, and they're really pushing this quote from official Nintendo magazine Jan 99, claiming it's the best color Game Boy game yet. Bit of a bold claim, especially coming from their own magazine, eh? Still, Rugrats was massive back then. Kids were obsessed. There's a little screenshot of the game. Looks pretty standard platformer stuff for the Game Boy Color, all blocky pixels and bright colors. They've got the usual suspects from the cartoon on the ad: Tommy, Chucky, Angelica, Phil and Lil, all looking suitably distressed in some sort of contraption. And of course Spike the dog makes an appearance. Right at the bottom there's the THQ logo, so we know who's behind this one. Yeah, it's a kids game tie name, no surprises there. But hey, for the little uns, it probably kept them quiet on long car journeys back in the day. This buyer's guide reviews various N64 controllers. The official Nintendo controller is still highly recommended, especially for fighting and shooting games. Third-party options include the Stingray 64, Slippery Stick, Macapad left-handed shoot-em-ups, Sharkpad Pro 64 platformers, Superpad 64 Plus, OK, Controller Plus 64 racing games, Trident Pro Pad, similar to official, Superpad 64, left-handed, Manta Ray New Gen, futuristic, Competition Pro, professionals, Arcade Shark, beat-em-ups, pricey, Mirage Wild Things, responsive, Trilogy 64 controller, LMP flashy. The guide also includes brief game reviews, Rampage, 53%, South Park, 90%, San Fran Rush, 74%, Super Mario 64, 92%, Robotron 64, 80%, Rush 2, 74%, Scars 84%, and Shadows of the Empire 74%. Electronics Boutique is offering £5 off any of the top 10 N64 games. This month's top 5 are Rogue Squadron, Zelda, South Park, FIFA 99, and WCW/NWO Revenge. The list continues with Virtual Pool, Body Harvest, Turok 2, Duke Nukem 0 Hour, and Chameleon Twist 2. Reviews include Silicon Valley, 82%, Snowboard Kids, 81%, Starshot, 75%, 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, 90%, Tetrasphere, 83%, Top Gear Overdrive, 85%, Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, 94%, Twisted Edge, 78%, Virtual Chess, 64%, Rally Edition, 90%, Virtual Pool, 70%, Waiale Golf, 64%. Turok 2 and 1080 Degrees Snowboarding received particularly high praise. Titty%, Tetrasphere. This page delves into the N64 scene, focusing on the game Turok 2 and its notorious cerebral bore weapon. The article then highlights the UK blockbuster rental charts. Rogue Squadron and Zelda, Ocarina of Time topped the list, followed by W/N/WO Revenge, South Park, and Turok 2. The top 10 included 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, Wipeout 64, Body Harvest, F1 World Grand Prix, and GoldenEye. Mini-reviews offered scores for several games. Wave Race 64-83%, WCW vs NWO Revenge 86%, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 82%, World Cup 98-90%, Weetrix 68%, Wipeout 64-87%, XG2 82%, Yoshi's Story 88%, and Zelda, Ocarina of Time 97%. The article concludes with a recommendation to rent games before buying, and a section inviting reader interaction, with a Castlevania 64 screenshot for visual appeal. This page, blimey, talk about a change of pace. After all that talk about cerebral bore and blasting monsters in Turok 2, we've slammed right into a full-page advert for Midland Bank, before they became HSBC, I suppose. It's all very grown-up and sensible looking, compared to the game's pages. 3 people in suits, smiling away, and a quote bubble saying, "If you wanna be my lover, you've gotta get with my friends." Bit cheesy, but it's trying to be hip, I guess. It's advertising their live cash account for 11 to 15-year-olds. Open an account, and you get a free top 40 Candelas single and a personal organizer. Remember those? Proper 90s stuff. And a live cash card for 24-hour access to your money, they say. Let's sort money out, the slogan says, because that's what kids are thinking about, right? Compared to blasting aliens. Bit of a yawn fest, really. But hey, banks gotta advertise too, and I suppose back then they were trying to get kids hooked early. Definitely a world away from the N64 action we were just reading about, that's for sure. Right at the bottom there's a little coupon thing to fill out for details. Very old school. Send it in the post, how times have changed. This retro gaming article from an N64 magazine features tips and cheats for various popular games. The Hints, Tips and Cheats section covers classics like Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, and Zelda, Ocarina of Time. There's also a Your Tips section with a GoldenEye contest. The article then dives into specific game hacks. Zelda's tip details how to get unlimited Lon Lon milk. For WCW/NWO Revenge, it reveals how to unlock new fighters, and the trick to utilize play managers in exhibition matches. Finally, a brutal cheat code for Turok 2 is provided, and a winning strategy for WCW Revenge's one-player mode is highlighted. The article captures the nostalgic feel of 90s gaming magazines, packed with secrets and strategies. This page offers cheat codes and tips for several N64 games. It begins with a guide to the controller buttons for cheat codes. For Rogue Squadron, suggestions include dark side-related cheats, with the expansion pack enhancing the graphics. South Park provides codes for invincibility, level select, characters, and weapons. Finally, Cruisin' World offers a guide to unlocking secret cars by achieving specific times on different tracks, with a list of tracks and the corresponding vehicles, e.g., Australia unlocks the Surgeon car. This article offers tips for classic Nintendo 64 games. For Banjo-Kazooie, revisit Banjo's house after Treasure Trove Cove and look at a picture for hidden secrets. Top Gear Overdrive hints at unlocking all content by using a mirror in Overdrive and completing Season 6. GoldenEye 007 provides cheat codes unlocked by completing levels within specific times and difficulties, offering options like paintball mode. Finally, in Castlevania 64, use an axe against a boss for a quick victory, and find a torch atop the Tower of Sorcery for an extra costume for carry. This text provides a guide to Nintendo 64 game secrets and tips. For XG2, enter Spy Eye for Micro Machines mode. WWF features a burp and fart mode, unlocked by winning challenge mode and enabling cheats. For Zero X unlocks all tracks and cars with a button combo. F1 World Grand Prix allows for a high-speed glitch by setting the car to Williams, changing the surname to Pyrite and manual transmission. Rally 99 has a backward-written cheat to unlock everything. Mario Party tips include watching the ending and playing Minigame Stadium on hard for coins. Scars hides secret cars unlockable with a mirrored code. Wetrix offers background and tile options. Wave Race 64 changes colors by holding A and B at character select. Finally, Zelda. Ocarina of Time reveals a hidden level by playing the Song of Storms after getting the Mask of Truth. The text also promotes a 1999 Nintendo 64 helpline. This page features reader tips and cheats for classic N64 games, with a transparent controller as a prize. Mario Kart 64 highlights a trick by William Mares to potentially gain 2 wins. For The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Katie Todd and Stephen Kilner are recognized, and a cryptic Match of the Day cheat is revealed. There's also a hidden stats screen discovered by Martin Shearer. WWF Warzone showcases character creation with recipes for Mortal Kombat characters, submitted by Gary Denton. Finally, Wipeout 64 features a supersonic start tip from Nicholas Warnsby, a blast from the past filled with nostalgic memories. This page offers tips and tricks for classic N64 games. For Zelda, Ocarina of Time, solutions are provided for Jabu Jabu's belly, a breakdown of common questions like heart and skulltula counts, and guidance on the Gerudo Fortress. GoldenEye 007 tips address the dam door and control level difficulties, including details on cheat codes. Diddy Kong Racing has key locations for Icicle Pyramid, Darkwater Beach, and Smoky Castle, and how to unlock Drumstick. New ways to play highlights the fun in Wave Race 64's Joust mode and GoldenEye's Bullfight mode. Reader questions cover the Lost Woods in Zelda and Eagle Feather locations in Turok 2, including a cheat code hint. The page ends with a call for readers to submit their own tips and questions for a chance to win prizes. This page is all about bragging rights. Your scores, it shouts at you. They've set 4 challenges this month across different games. First up is 1080-degree snowboarding, wanting to see some serious trick scores. Get your powder sliding skills in gear apparently. Then it's Faux Zero X, asking for the fastest time on Big Blue in the Faux Zero X Cup. Classic stuff, everyone loved a bit of Big Blue. Rogue Squadron is next, challenging players to get a fast mission time on Mos Eisley in silver or gold medal for Rogue Squadron. Proper Star Wars action that was. Finally, there's Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Race the jogger in Gerudo Valley, they say he looks knackered, cheeky. Each challenge has a little tip from a Donkey Kong character, nice touch. Below the challenges they've got the results in full, showing off the top players for a few games. For F1 World Grand Prix on Monaco, Trevor Sterling is top dog. Forsaken, that 3D shooter, it's all about the nuke quickest time, and Kevin Martin's leading there. 1080 degrees snowboarding again, this time for fastest time on Mountain Village, Sean Matthews is king of the mountain there. And lastly, Yoshi's Story for highest score on Jungle Hut, Danny Dunn's leading that pile of Yoshi points. They've even stuck little photos next to some of the names classic magazine stuff. It's all about seeing your name in print for being good at Nintendo 64 games, fair play. The Nuln Mega Challenge is on, with a GoldenEye 007 speedrun, focusing on killing 50 enemies in jungle. Submit a photo of your stats screen to enter, no cheating allowed, except for the final deathmatch. Top 4 players win a trip to Nom Towers for a deathmatch final on June 5th, with the winner receiving N64 gear. To enter, send a screenshot of your score, personal details, and a game tip to their London address by May 21st. Prizes include a Nintendo controller pad or rumble pack for high scores. Neil Friedman currently leads with 051. The deathmatch final will randomly select characters and location. If unable to attend, disqualification is in effect. The decision of the competition is final. Taliti. This guide delves into the multiplayer aspects of Turok 2, offering in-depth advice. Covering everything from settings and game modes to level overviews and weapon features, it provides a comprehensive player's resource. Player character choices are analyzed, including the balanced Turok, the tough but slow Tallset, the speedy Raptor with claws, and the all-rounder Fireborn. Adding a humorous touch, even the Acclaim staff are playable, For those looking for a tank, the campaigner provides 120 health. Gameplay tips include hiding in dark areas, prioritizing headshots, and quickly grabbing weapons. It also covers quirks like lava deaths, and using character color to blend in for tactical advantages. The guide aims to equip players with the knowledge needed to dominate in the chaotic world of late 90s N64 multiplayer. This guide focuses on the weapons and levels of Turok 2's multiplayer. Wild Weapons highlights inventive ways to eliminate opponents, including the infamous cerebral bore, torpedo launcher, harpoon launcher, grenade launcher, and scorpion missile. The level overviews section details several maps, noting slight modifications for game modes like Bloodlust and Fragtag. Maps discussed include Crazy 8 and YNGWTSF, Central Room with Columns, Squares Cubed, Chaotic, Bullseye, Central Pit, H2, Woe, and Sneaks and Ladders, Cerebral Bore Access, Mosh Crypt and Crossfire, Platform-based, and Escaria and Primatica, Pits and Pillars. The guide provides useful tips for navigating these maps and mastering the game, particularly focusing on weapon placement and level layouts. Takeo. This guide, the second part of a Rogue Squadron deep dive, offers comprehensive coverage including enemy tactics, gold medal strategies, level orders, cheat codes, and craft features. A flight briefs section provides basic but effective tips, like aiming ahead and conserving missiles, and mentions the IGIV UP cheat. Enemies and Allies details Rebel and Imperial ships. Rebel ships include the Faster Wing, Versatile Vorwing, and the Millennium Falcon. Imperial ships feature the TIE Bomber, Wave Skimmer, ATPT, and missile turrets. Each entry includes a description and image. A radar tip clarifies color coding: green for friendly, red for enemy, and blue for civilians. This page details 2 missions from Rogue Squadron and a difficulty cheat. Battle above Talarian has players flying a wings to destroy Tabana gas containers above a gas planet within 7 minutes, while maintaining 70% accuracy. Players must also avoid harming civilians and face TIE interceptors. A blockade runner provides a bonus. Escape from Fest tasks players with protecting ATPTS from ATATs on a snowy mountain near Mantuine within 6:30, with 25% accuracy. The mission involves destroying an Imperial research facility, freeing ATPTS, and escorting them to safety. Players should prioritize taking out the shield generator and turbolasers. Tank droids and TIE bombers will also appear. Finally, the cybercode section reveals a cheat. Entering ACE will increase the accuracy of enemy TIEs, turbolasers, and missile turrets for a harder challenge. This guide provides mission tips for 2 Star Wars Rogue Squadron levels. Blockade on Chandrila requires escorting a supply train and defending a city, aiming for a gold medal with a specific time limit, enemy count, accuracy, and friendly survival. Tips advise prioritizing the supply train's protection from TIE fighters and focusing on @-STS when they appear. Raid on Sullust involves destroying transmitters and a capacitor within a volcano. Gold requires completion within a time limit, high accuracy, no friendly fire, and a bonus. Tips recommend bombing missile turrets, targeting transmitters, and locating a bonus in a building. The final objective is the capacitor in the volcano's center. Lastly, a section titled Cybercodes contains a mirrored, likely visual puzzle, offering codes for power-ups, suggesting a mirror is needed to decipher it. This guide offers mission strategies for 2 Rogue Squadron N64 levels, Moff Seardan's Revenge and Battle of Mon Calamari. In Moff Seardan's Revenge, players must destroy Imperial forces while protecting Bacta containers and civilians, all within a 6-minute time limit for a gold medal. Key advice includes using the radar, avoiding TIE interceptors, and employing Seeker proton torpedoes on Moff Seardan. A bonus cluster Seeker missile is hidden. Battle of Mon Calamari tasks players with destroying world devastators in a water level. The gold medal requirements are a 7-minute time limit, a specific enemy count, accuracy percentage, and friendly saves. Players should prioritize their wingmen, use cluster missiles to disable turrets and shield generators, and destroy the legs to finish the devastators. The guide also reveals a mirrored level select cheat code, requiring a mirrored text technique, adding a playful touch. This guide offers tips for 3 missions in Star Wars Rogue Squadron on the N64. In Beggar's Canyon, players race Wedge Antilles in T-16 Skyhoppers. Gold requires beating him. Battle of Hoth challenges players to protect transports and destroy enemy vehicles. Achieving gold demands speed, accuracy, and specific enemy targets. Death Star Trench has players destroying the power plant. Achieving gold requires speed, accuracy, and focused target selection. The guide provides common sense strategies, like prioritizing enemies and using acceleration/braking. It debunks a rumored invincibility code and encourages readers to submit their own tips. This advert from Virtual Reality promotes Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color games via mail order. N64 bundles include classics like Mario and GoldenEye, plus games like FIFA 99, Beetle Adventure Racing, and South Park, with memory cards included. Prices range from £99.99 to £129.99. Individual N64 games featured popular titles such as Killer Instinct Gold, Wave Race, Banjo-Kazooie, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, along with lesser-known titles. For Game Boy Color, they offer consoles for £59.99 and games like Tetris DX, Pokémon Gold and Silver, and Zelda, Oracle of Seasons. Accessories like the Game Boy camera and printer are also available. Orders could be placed via mail or phone, with postage and packaging costing £2.95. This guide provides a humorous overview of the N64 South Park game. It focuses on helping players navigate the game's chaotic elements. The guide introduces enemies like hordes of turkeys, and the larger, snowball-throwing huge evil clones. It then details the unique weapons, including snowballs, dodgeballs, a toilet plunger launcher, and the rapid-firing sponge dart launcher. Power-ups like cheesy poofs for invincibility and weight gain, snacky cakes for health, and double-firing lightning are highlighted. Finally, it offers basic gameplay tips, strafing to dodge attacks, using the radar, retreating from bosses, and conserving powerful weapons. The guide aims to capture the show's comedic spirit within the game. This page carries on with the South Park guide, doesn't it? Looks like we're still battling those pesky turkeys, but this time it's broken down into sections with titles that sound a bit more official, like Operation Turkey Butt, which is a bit of a laugh. First up is Fair Game. Seems you gotta find your mates at the Renaissance Fair. Classic South Park humor watching everyone panic at the turkeys. Then there's Search and Destroy. Looks like cave exploration and ladder climbing is involved, searching for a level boss. Typical platforming stuff but with a South Park twist. Turkey Shoot sounds like a boss encounter, aiming for the giant turkey's backside. They're even calling it the giant turkey. Imaginative lot, aren't they? Says to use dodgeballs and watch out for leg attacks. Finally, Homecoming is about another boss, the giant turkey again, this time covered in cranberry sauce, naturally. They mention its butt as the target again, and dodging purple eye beams and leg attacks. Sounds like a proper boss fight, albeit a bit silly as you'd expect from South Park on the N64. Overall, just more tips for getting through the turkey mayhem in South Park. Nothing too groundbreaking, but helpful if you were stuck back in the day. This section of the South Park guide focuses on alien clone encounters. In There Goes the Neighborhood, mutated clones of characters like Officer Barbrady and Big Gay Al are appearing. Prevent them from reaching the South Park sign to avoid penalties. Find your allies and eliminate the clones in the school and warehouses to unlock the exit. Next is Mother Loving Spoonful, featuring a gross mother alien boss in the museum. Similar to the first level, stop clones from reaching the South Park sign near a police blockade. Destroy the clones to clear the way to the museum. The boss, a glob of goo, spawns clones. Attack its exposed eye and avoid its stomps. Finally, Warehouse Run presents tougher clones that require multiple attacks. Kill enough clones to open new doors and find a ladder. Climb the ladder and locate the green glowing hole for the exit. Laura. This guide details a walkthrough for several levels in the South Park N64 game. Visitors Return tasks players with navigating a canyon, avoiding crazed cows, and using a plunger to find your friends. One Mother of a Ship involves battling alien clones, solving a simple puzzle to obtain a key and entering the mothership. Blow the Core focuses on navigating the interior of the ship, finding a specific desk, and destroying the cloning core. Finally, Road to Craterville involves following Chef's instructions, destroying cows and spaceships, and navigating a spaceship meteor. The guide's overall tone is light-hearted, mirroring the show's humor, and ends with a promise of future guides, including a multiplayer walkthrough. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 console and related accessories. The page highlights special offers like an N64 with The Legend of Zelda or South Park. It features deals on classic games, such as Banjo-Kazooie, Mario Kart 64, and Mario 64. Beyond games, the ad promotes various peripherals, including racing wheels, with and without force feedback, rumble packs, memory cards, controllers, and the Action Replay Pro. It also showcases colored controllers and a lesser-known Mirage Pad. Finally, the page includes miscellaneous items like sticker kits, a Game Boy booster, and player's guides, particularly for Zelda and South Park. The overall impression is a nostalgic look at the N64 era. This page showcases a retro gaming catalog filled with nostalgic items. Headlining the page are South Park Vocalizer's toys. Game Boy Color is heavily advertised, alongside the pocket printer and camera. Nintendo merchandise is prevalent, with beanies, plush toys, including a 12-inch Mario, and licensed products featured. Watches and keyrings offer N64 and Game Boy themed accessories. Action figures from Star Wars Episode 1, Zelda, Duke Nukem, Quake 2, and Turok 2 are available. The catalog concludes with a section for Super NES games and accessories. Payments are accepted via check or postal order. The Club Mario Letters page is filled with classic N64 debates. Readers discuss using tips books for Zelda, console wars between Dreamcast and N64, and anticipation for Donkey Kong World. Dave defends Nintendo against Dreamcast praise, while others debate the merits of South Park on the N64. The expansion park's cost and graphical improvements are also mentioned. A review by James Bainey praises Banjo-Kazooie, awarding it a 98% score and highlighting its Gruntilda battle. Finally, a Who's the Hero quiz kicks off with a clue referencing a sharpshooter, possibly Star Fox or Samus. This page features a Name That Game quiz with questions on titles like Diddy Kong Racing, Wipeout 64, and Rogue Squadron. Another quiz, Who's the Hero, quizzes gamers on the heroes of games like Star Fox 64. Reader content includes charts, with Mark and Emma sharing their top N64 games. Mark's top picks are Diddy Kong Racing, F-Zero X, Mario Kart 64, Snowboard Kids, and Super Mario 64, while Emma's list starts with Snowboard Kids. The Power Pack highlights a reader-designed South Park game box and solicits further designs. A letter from Christopher Sell defends the quality of N64 games, specifically praising Super Mario 64. Snappy Moment showcases winning Game Boy camera photos. Reader letters cover various topics, defending Nintendo, seeking cheat assistance for Rally Edition 99, praising the improved realism of sports games, and requesting Total Test to be a bi-monthly feature. Other letters address price concerns for N64 cartridges and the anticipation for the game Tonic Trouble. A magazine feature reviews the N64 South Park game, based on feedback from 10 young players. Most reviewers enjoyed the game, with Alex praising the graphics and Ihan finishing it. Darren and Stefan are enthusiastic about multiplayer, and Aaron loves the game's Cartman elements. Alexander anticipates 30+ hours of gameplay, and David has been playing for months. Jacob compares the multiplayer to GoldenEye and Turok 2. Marco finished the game, and Ricky is impressed. Steven recommends the multiplayer, while Cengiz found the final boss challenging. Overall, the game is considered fun, especially for multiplayer, though the single-player experience and final boss are seen as potential downsides. Next month's feature will cover Castlevania. A competition offered a weekend getaway at Ashdown Park Hotel for 4 people to play Castlevania 64 early. Entrants had to call a premium rate number on a Monday in April, and be available to travel on April 24th. The page also included reader opinions on other games. Chris from Pennystone favored Zelda over Tomb Raider 3, with Dave from the magazine echoing the sentiment. Sean called Zelda absolute biz. Rally 99 received a 75% rating from Andrew, but Sean preferred Beetle Adventure Racing. Adrian found Zelda too easy. Other sections featured a Nintendo trivia quiz, a bizarre Yoshi/Donkey Kong hybrid description, Ultimate Warrior, and a Who's the Hero clue referencing Star Fox. This Club Mario page showcases reader interaction and art. The Who's the Hero puzzle, with Clue 5 referencing Lilac Wars, points to Fox McCloud. Readers share opinions. Christopher wants Grey Station games, while Oliver dislikes Turok 2. The page features fan art, including Zelda and Nintendo character mashups, alongside reader opinions on the Game Boy Color, Mario Party, and other game favorites. A scrambled quiz answers, staff listings, Simon Clays as editor, Publishing details, subscription information, and acknowledgements complete the standard magazine format, including the EMAP Active Publisher logo. This page is the Blagfest page, looks like a competition section. Right then, Steer to Victory is giving away Thrustmaster steering wheels and Stingray controllers, proper bits of kit for racing games back in the day. They're asking which Formula 1 team Damon Hill drives for, Jordan, Gordon or Norman. Bit of an easy one for racing fans then. Warrington next up is Read All About It. They are giving away Star Wars and Batman books. They are asking for the name of Han Solo's hairy friend, another simple one for movie buffs. It's a Touchdown focuses on NFL Blitz for the N64. They are giving away copies of the game, and are asking which American football team plays in Dallas Cowboys, Indians, or Bears. NFL Blitz was a laugh, proper arcade-style footy, miles away from your Madden simulations but good fun for a quick blast. Finally, more Zelda goodies! They are giving away Zelda figures and t-shirts, probably promoting Ocarina of Time, given the stuff pictured. The question is about the name of the princess you rescue from Jabu Jabu's belly. Rolo, Ruto or Pluto are the options. Bit of a giveaway if you've played Zelda, isn't it? Alligator. To enter, you need to answer the questions, write your details on a postcard or sealed envelope, and send it to Nintendo Magazine in London. All fairly standard competition stuff for back then. They're giving away some decent prizes though. Someone is going to be chuffed with that steering wheel. This page is an advert for a video game shop called New Age Consoles. Right in the middle, they're pushing Zelda. Ocarina of Time for the N64 at £34.99, and Forsaken also on the N64 for £14.99. They've got review quotes for Forsaken praising the graphics and gameplay, calling it a 360-degree shooter, which was a big thing back then. Below that, it's all mail order by phone, with a London number and address. They're advertising N64 hardware and games, both UK and import versions, and PlayStation UK and import games too. Looks like they've got a decent selection of N64 games like 1080 Snowboarding, Banjo-Kazooie, Castlevania 64, the usual big hitters. Prices seem alright for the time. Then there's PlayStation games like Metal Gear Solid, Soul Reaver, Ridge Racer 4. They're also selling PlayStation and 64 accessories, stuff like memory cards, rumble packs, and even a PlayStation chip. Those were the days. At the bottom there's a bit for Sega Dreamcast consoles, with and without games, and another address for a shop in Croydon. Standard mail order affair really. If you couldn't get to a high street shop, this was how you got your games back then. Gameplay, a seller claiming the lowest prices on consoles, is advertising Nintendo 64 products. They offer N64 consoles, both standalone and bundled with popular games like Mario 64 and Zelda. They also sell official colored joypads. The ad highlights a vast selection of UK N64 games, ranging from racers to shooters, with prices varying. They also offer essential hint books. A 2NDHAND games section promises nearly new quality with a 90-day guarantee. Accessories like rumble packs and carry cases are also available. The advertisement concludes with an order form to be mailed in, a stark contrast to modern online shopping. This Nintendo news page highlights upcoming games for the N64 and Game Boy Color. The main focus is on the N64 platformer, 40 Winks, developed by Euro.com. It's being marketed as similar to Banjo-Kazooie and Mario 64, featuring rough and tumble saving dreams. The article mentions several other N64 titles, including Resident Evil 2, Revolt, and Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. For the Game Boy Color, Pokémon is prominently featured, along with the trading card game. A handheld version of Resident Evil is also in development. The article includes screenshots of 40 Winks, showcasing its cartoony style and comparing its level design to Banjo-Kazooie. Overall, the page provides a standard update on new and upcoming Nintendo releases. This page is still banging on about 40 Winks, isn't it? Seems they're really pushing this one as the next big platformer on the N64. It's got Rough and Tumble, who are supposed to be the stars of the show, and they can change into different forms with special powers. One screenshot shows Ruff in a robot suit blasting aliens, and another has Tumble in a geisha outfit, apparently to deal with some skeleton enemies. They're even making a point about Tumble's Zelda-style sweep with her stick, which is a bit cheeky comparing it to the proper Zelda games, isn't it? Down at the bottom there's a We Think box which is laying it on thick, saying it's gonna be huge, and comparing it to Rare games, and even calling it an N64 nightcap. Bit much, but they're obviously trying to get everyone hyped for it being in next month's magazine as the nom for the lowdown. Remember when they used to do that? Feature a game heavily each month. Classic official Nintendo magazine stuff. Really going all in on certain titles. Anyway, 40 winks. It's all about saving dreams or something. Same stuff we heard last page really. Let's see what else they've got. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, a 3D racing game from LucasArts, is set to release in summer '99, timed with the Phantom Menace film. The game focuses on the pod racing scene from the movie, with Anakin Skywalker as a central character. Featuring pod races across 8 Star Wars worlds, split into tournaments, the game incorporates an upgrade system and a heads-up display. Players must place in the top 4 to advance. The game will include familiar locations like Tatooine, as well as other worlds, and expanded universe locations. It boasts wicked graphics and a multiplayer mode with over 21 unique races. Boost mechanics are implemented. Overall, it looks to be a promising movie tie-in with potential for multiplayer fun. This webpage, reminiscent of late 90s competition pages, offered a chance to win various prizes by calling premium rate phone numbers. The prizes included a range of games like Zelda, Metal Gear Solid, Tekken 3, and more, along with consoles, N64, PlayStation, mobile phones, pages, and even a PlayStation driving seat. Additionally, winners could choose 20 salds. The site features a review of Episode 1 Racer, calling it wicked, and praising its fast and fun single-player experience, tying into the Star Wars movie release. World Driver Championship, developed by Boss Studios for the N64, aims to challenge Gran Turismo. Featuring 33 cars, 10 international tracks, and a championship mode where players join racing teams, it promised a comprehensive racing experience. The game touted eye-popping graphics, a unique letterbox view enhanced by the expansion pack, and improved handling compared to Top Gear Rally. Night racing offered realistic headlight reflections. The reviewer was highly enthusiastic, suggesting it could be the definitive N64 racing title and urging players to dismiss Gran Turismo. Scheduled for a summer '99 release, the game generated considerable hype with its promising features and ambition. Upcoming games for N64 and Game Boy Color are highlighted. Winback, a 3D action shooter from Koei, promises stealth gameplay and is due in autumn '99. Resident Evil for Game Boy Color is also in the works, with promising screenshots showcasing backgrounds similar to the original PlayStation game. Fast News reveals 2 new Turok games for N64, alongside Tiger Woods Golf and Vigilante 8, Second Offense. Finally, the article mentions Miyamoto discussing the next Nintendo console, N2000, slated to use DVD technology and a new controller. Pokémon Stadium is getting a sequel, including all 151 Pokémon and new minigames, with a UK release expected early next year. This page, blimey, it's all about Harrier 2001 on the N64. Right then, looks like Nintendo are trying their hand at a proper flight sim, saying it's a reet lil corker, which is a bit much, isn't it? Still, it's a jump jet game where you're a to-us Marine called Jake Cross. Flying a Harrier to take down the Brotherhood sounds like your typical 90s villain lot, with super bombs and all that. Apparently there are over 50 missions, multiplayer battles, and fierce enemies to blast. The usual marketing spiel. They're making a big deal about it being realistic, with aircraft carrier takeoffs and tough dogfights. They're banging on about different camera views too, calling it view to a kill. Bit dramatic, but yeah, you can swap views for bombing and dogfighting. Makes sense. They've got a cockpit view, a chase view for spotting enemies, and a lock view for combat. All standard stuff for a flight game really. Oh, and there's a weapon encyclopedia so you can geek out on all the missiles and bombs, which some people are into, I suppose. They're even showing off the fact you can take off vertically from military ships because it's a Harrier, duh. Seems like they reckon it's a good place to practice your flying skills, this game. Well, we'll see about that, won't we? Summer '99 release, so not too far off. The next page is all about Tonic Trouble for the N64. Looks like another one of those 3D platformers they were churning out back then. Right then, it's from Ubisoft. They say it's a 3D adventure, and it was slated for summer '99, same time as Harrier. Seems like this Tonic Trouble is about some purple bloke called Ed, and the hook is his face changes depending on what's happening. Bit of a gimmick, but alright. They're banging on about killer tomatoes as enemies chasing you around. Sounds a bit daft, doesn't it? Apparently you gotta keep 'em peeled from these tomatoes. There's some stuff about fixing a popcorn machine to become Super Ed so you can stomp on baddies. Standard power-up stuff really. And there's bits about lava pits and green steam you have to avoid. Again, nothing groundbreaking. One bit says, "Oh, what's wrong, Ed? when he looks sad, bless him. In the We Think section, they reckon it won't be a Banjo-Kazooie killer. Bit harsh but probably true, but say it'll be a great little adventure to pass the time until the next big platformer comes along. Fair enough. On the other side of that We Think box, they are still going on about Harrier 2001, saying it's from the guys behind Pilotwings and Beetle Adventure Racing, so it should be cool. Well, we'll see about that too, won't we? They are still pushing that Harrier game quite hard, bless them. This page highlights several upcoming games. Resident Evil 2 for the N64 is heavily featured, promising improved graphics, hidden content, and uncensored content, a first for the console. They anticipate it will be a classic, overcoming the PlayStation version's loading time issues. A 3D Metroid game is also in development for the N64, using the Zelda engine. On the handheld front, a Beavis and Butthead adventure game is coming to Game Boy, with 10 levels and a variety of gameplay styles. NHL Pro 99 is headed to Game Boy Color. Activision is developing a Tarzan game for the Game Boy Color based on the animated movie, Warrington Orchestra. Finally, a new arcade system, Alex 64, from Nintendo and Seta, is intended to bring arcade games to the N64. The first title is Variant Schwanzer, a shoot-'em-up. Plus, Pokémon fans can download a new, secret monster, at Nintendo Space World. Prizebuster was a competition offering various prizes, primarily technology and games popular at the time. Instant win prizes included a PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Pentium 2 computer, Adidas watch, and more. Game-related prizes featured titles like Tomb Raider 3, Tekken 2i, Mission Impossible, and Rogue Squadron. The competition also offered different game formats like Go 4 Goals and Alien Wipeout, involving answering questions and completing in-game tasks. Major prizes for achieving certain scores or completing tasks included a 14-inch TV, VCR, PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and even a pool table. Calls cost up to £3, raising questions about the actual likelihood of winning considering the cost. This page is all about Revolt, the RC car racer on the N64. Right then, Acclaim are bringing this out in autumn '99, calling it a 3D racer. They're banging on about great graphics, wacky races, and cool cars, standard stuff really. They're saying it's a teeny tiny world and it's cutsy N64 racing fun. Apparently Toyvolt, this toy company, their RC cars have gone rogue and started racing around. So now you get to control these little blighters. The article mentions 14 single-player tracks across 7 backgrounds, and 4 multiplayer arenas where you can smash things up to find new areas. Looks like your typical racing game setup. Jackala. The screenshots are showing off different bits, tight corners, massive jumps, slopes and straights. They've got these little tips boxes, things like, hit accelerate at the right moment for a speed start, don't hit the curb or you'll flip, dust mite struggles on slopes, basic racing advice. One screenshot even shows a digger fixing the road, which is a bit different I suppose. Another mentions racing across a piano, sounds a bit mad, but hey, it's N64. We think, bit at the end says it's got loads of options, tracks and cars and wicked graphics too. Calling it a classic cutesy racer for your 64. Sounds like they're cautiously optimistic. Another racer for the N64 pile then. This preview covers 3 upcoming games. First, Lode Runner 3D for N64, a 3D puzzle game where you collect gold from an evil emperor monk. The early screenshots are criticized for being blocky, and the preview expresses skepticism about its quality. Next, Pokémon Pocket Guide 5 for Game Boy is previewed, highlighting new features like black belt trainers who offer Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan, and details on evolving Pokémon like Executor and Marowak. Finally, Pokémon Trading Card for Game Boy is mentioned, a card collecting and trading game with over 150 cards. The preview notes the difficulty of completing the collection and offers a glimpse of the in-game shop. The overall impression is mixed, with doubts about Lode Runner contrasted by the continued popularity of the Pokémon franchise. This page reviews late 90s video games, starting with Battle Tanks, a shoot-'em-up for the N64. Set in a questionable 2001 scenario with Queen Lords needing rescue, the gameplay focuses on tank combat across cityscapes, with bonus turret sections. The review notes a weak single-player experience but praises the multiplayer. Next is Jeremy McGrath Supercross 2000, a dirt bike racer promising extensive content with stadium and outdoor tracks. Fast News shares brief updates. Pokémon trading cards are disrupting us schools. WCW Mayhem, a wrestling game, and Command & Conquer are coming to the N64. A Japanese racing game, Rev Limit, faces potential release. Finally, a well-dodgy Duke Nukem Hollywood movie is in development, featuring aliens and strippers. This page is a bit of a strange one, looks like a bit of filler. We've got this odd picture of a bloke in the middle of a sofa, looks like he's supposed to be a bit of a nerd, with a beanie hat saying Norm and badges with slogans, proper old-fashioned glasses. He's telling off this young couple on either side of him, saying kissing will give them lurgy germs, and they need therapy if they don't sit apart. Bit dramatic, innit? There's Twix wrappers dotted about, so I guess it's some kind of weird advert for them, or just a silly joke page using the candy. Definitely got that late 90s magazine humor vibe going on, a bit try-hard, but they were trying to be funny. Not much to do with games, mind you, unless Norm is supposed to be some kind of gaming guru telling us to stay clean while we're mashing buttons on the N64. Who knows what these magazine people were thinking sometimes, eh? This page is advertising what's coming up in issue 4. They're promising the biggest and best coverage, the usual magazine bluster. 6 promises they're making to readers, including getting all the Nintendo 64 news first, and having loads of game shots. Apparently, it's easy to understand and they've got all the tips and cheats you could want. They even reckon you won't need to buy any other mags, cheeky sods. Looks like a big feature on Duke Nukem. 0 Hour is coming. Can't say I'm massively hyped for another Duke game, but hey, each to their own. They're promising to show you how to play it, all the bad guys, every weapon, and explore all the levels. Sounds thorough enough, I suppose. Also mentioned is an update on Jet Force Gemini, saying ace new shots and info, which is fair enough, that game was looking pretty swish, and a Bug's Life game tie-in, based on that Disney film. Probably a bit of a kiddie game if I'm honest, but they had to cover everything Nintendo, didn't they? Then there's a total test for everything N64, which is a bit vague, and a review of Flying Dragon, calling it a punchy new Nintendo beat-em. Never heard of that one, must be a bit obscure. Right at the bottom it says plus, Game Guide's best chi, so the usual mix of stuff to get you through games. Standard magazine fare really, promising the earth as always. This page is shouting about Owinks, which I reckon is their funny way of saying ogre battle. Bit silly, but alright. It's got wake up to Ebo, and then some points like how you play, all the characters, every level, and beastly bosses. Standard magazine hype for a game really, trying to get you interested in all aspects. There's a red tag saying go buy it the 15th of May, so I guess that's when the game's out. Or maybe the magazine issue date. Down at the bottom they've got a tips section. Looks like they're covering Castlevania, calling it Hunt Castlevania's blood-sucking vamps, which is pretty much what you do in Castlevania, isn't it? Then there's South Park. Finish South Park. Sweet guide. Bit of a weird spelling of sweet there, but whatever. And finally, beat FIFA 99 and lift the cup. Fair enough tips for those games. Over on the right they're pushing plus Game Boy Color, saying every game reviewed, best shots and info. So a little bit of coverage for the handheld games too. All in all, typical magazine page, trying to cover a bit of everything to keep you reading. This magazine page highlights April's gaming offerings. Castlevania for N64 is promoted as a bargain at £39.99, alongside a Mortal Kombat cartoon for kids. The X-Files movie is available for £13.99, and All-Star Baseball 2000 is also listed. Other items include Quake 2 figures, Star Wars Lego, and various keyrings. A Zelda Link keyring for £1.35, and a South Park Mr. Hanky keyring. Game & Watch Gallery 2 for Game Boy Color is offered, as well as Resident Evil 2 action figures. The What You Want section features reader requests, including Shadow Man, FIFA 99, Super Smash Bros., Legend of Zelda, WWF Attitude, and Rogue Squadron. Overall, it's a typical spread of new releases and popular items. Wire. Special Reserves advert promotes their club membership, offering magazines, cheats, competitions, and a free gift for £6.99. The page heavily features Nintendo 64 bundles, including consoles with games like GoldenEye and Mario 64, and a Fire bundle featuring both. They also offer N64 extras, like memory cards and rumble packs, plus a selection of discounted games. The Game Boy Color is also advertised with consoles, cameras, and printers. PlayStation games are present, but the focus is clearly on the N64. Finally, a high-end PC, the Max 4D, is advertised at a premium price, showcasing the rapid pace of technology in the late 90s. Overall, it's a typical GameShop advertisement from that era, emphasizing N64 offerings. This page is a full-on advert for Micro Machines 64 Turbo. Ah, Micro Machines. Proper classic games those were. This one's shouting about manic mayhem and full-on fun. You know the drill. Tiny cars causing chaos in your house. They're really pushing the 8-player thing, which back then was a big deal. Imagine 8 mates crammed around the telly trying to see this tiny screen. The ad copy talks about tearing up the breakfast table and smashing up the chemistry lab. Classic Micro Machines level design based on everyday household locations. They even show screenshots of racing on a snooker table and what looks like a kitchen counter. It's that top-down, chaotic racing that was always good for a laugh, yeah. And blimey, look at those review scores. 91% from 64 Magazine and Total 64. And 90% from N64 Pro. Genius! Simply superb. Utter brilliance. Bit strong, isn't it? Still, those mags did love their Micro Machines back in the day. It says, now available on Nintendo 64 inches, so this is when it was fresh out, wanting you to rush down to Electronics Boutique. Down at the bottom there's a lineup of cartoon characters, must be your racers to choose from. The ultimate multiplayer racing game, it declares. Codemasters were always pretty good at these arcadey racers. Yeah, Micro Machines 64 Turbo, good bit of fun for a party game back in the day, especially if you had enough mates with controllers.